Unfortunately, we do want to start with some heartbreaking, if not infuriating news that just came in from the Capitol overnight. Take a look right there. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick has passed away after suffering from injuries that he sustained while responding to that mob. And take a look at this scene outside of the Capitol overnight. Police cars lining up, flashing their lights in his honor.
For their colleague, 5 deaths now from that siege of the Capitol incited by President Trump, and the calls for his removal from office are growing in his final days. To try and save himself, the president finally conceded last night that Joe Biden will be president on January 20th, as more than 10 other top officials resigned in protest, including Education Secretary Betsy DeVos and Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao. Mary Bruce starts us off in Washington with the latest. Good morning, Mary.
George, good morning. Well, this new statement from the president is the closest thing to a concession yet. Trump still isn't even saying Joe Biden's name, but he is finally willing to admit that there will be a new administration. The president, it seems, is clearly trying to lower the temperature here as he is facing this growing chorus in Washington saying 12 more days simply is too long. The President Trump has to be removed now.
Overnight, almost 30 hours after the assault on the Capitol began, President Trump for the first time condemning the violent mob he himself incited.
You do not represent our country.
It's a far cry from the praise Trump heaped on his supporters as they overtook the Capitol. Trump's message to them then, quote, "We love you and you're very special." The chaos they created, leaving 5 dead in its wake, including 42-year-old Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who died overnight. His family telling ABC News after a day of fighting for his life, he passed away a hero. Now, with Trump's support in Washington crumbling, the president is calling for the nation to heal and finally admitting the reality he has denied for more than 2 months.
A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power.
But that admission may be too little too late. This morning, Trump is facing growing calls for him to go now. Democratic leaders are urging Vice President Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment and immediately remove Trump from office.
I believe the president is dangerous and should not hold office one day longer.
This is urgent. This is emergency of the highest magnitude.
But it's not just Democrats. At least one Republican congressman, Adam Kinzinger, is also on board.
All indications are that the president has become unmoored, not just from his duty, nor even his oath, but from reality itself. It's time to invoke the 25th Amendment and to end this nightmare.
Even the president's former chief of staff, John Kelly, says if he were still a cabinet member, he would support the president's removal.
I think the cabinet should meet and discuss this. What happened on Capitol Hill yesterday is a direct result of his, poisoning the minds of people with the lies and the frauds.
Former Attorney General Bill Barr also piling on. One of Trump's closest allies before leaving office, Barr now saying orchestrating a mob to pressure Congress is inexcusable. The president's conduct was a betrayal of his office and supporters. And overnight, more defections from the administration. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos announcing she's out. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, the wife of Mitch McConnell, is also resigning in protest, along with 8 other members of the Trump team. A majority of the cabinet would have to agree that the president is unfit for office to remove him. Sources tell ABC News members of the cabinet have had detailed conversations about it, but it's unlikely to happen. The other option, Democrats say they may move to impeach the president again. And sources say some Republicans are also privately discussing the idea. The president-elect isn't commenting on Trump's fate, but in a blistering condemnation, Joe Biden put blame for the insurrection squarely on the president.
We could see it coming. He unleashed an all-out assault on our institutions of our democracy from the outset. And yesterday was but the culmination of that unrelenting attack.
Now, despite these growing calls, invoking the 25th Amendment certainly seems unlikely. And we've just learned that House Democrats are going to try and impeach President Trump for a second time. This would be a first. Top House Democrats say they could hold a vote on the House floor as early as the middle of next week.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.